There is a small yellow house on the edge of a Danish coastal town, where the paint has softened into the color of butter left too long in the sun. Inside, nothing shouts, nothing competes for your attention. And yet, the moment you step through the door, something in your chest loosens. A small, involuntary exhale you didn't know you were holding. You were not taught to notice this feeling, but your body knows it instantly. Before we begin, I need you to hear something clearly, because it changes everything that follows. Your home is not messy. You are not lazy. And you are not failing at the simple task of keeping things tidy. What you are actually living inside of is something quieter and far more honest. An emotionally overloaded environment. A space where your nervous system is being asked hundreds of times a day to process small, unfinished decisions you never agreed to make. This is not about willpower. It never was. In Denmark, there is a word for the warm, held feeling of a home that asks nothing of you. A space that simply lets you exist. It's called Hygge. But here is what almost nobody explains correctly about Hygge. It is not candles. It is not blankets. It is not a Pinterest board. Hygge is the absence of unresolved noise. And today, I'm going to walk you through the 15 quiet culprits that are blocking it from ever reaching your home. The objects and corners that Danish households instinctively refuse to keep, not out of discipline, but out of a deep generational understanding of what a nervous system actually needs to soften. Stay until the end, because number 11 is something almost every American keeps out of love, without realizing it's quietly doing the opposite of what love is supposed to do. And I'll leave you with a 2-minute reset ritual that tells you, object by object, exactly what your home no longer needs to carry. Let's begin. Slowly. Before we open a single drawer, we need to sit with one idea, because it will change how you see every object in your home from this point forward. There is a second Nordic principle working quietly alongside Hygge, and it's called Lagom, a Swedish word that has settled comfortably into Danish life too. Lagom means not too little, not too much, just enough. It is the opposite of the accumulation instinct that so much of modern life has trained into us. The instinct that says, more storage, more organization, more bins will finally solve this. Here's the truth researchers at Princeton University's Department of Psychology have quietly confirmed through their work on visual environments. Your brain does not distinguish between an unfinished task and an unfinished object. A pile of mail that hasn't been sorted registers in your cognitive system almost identically to an email you haven't answered. Their research on multiple visual stimuli competing for attention found that clutter doesn't just sit passively in your peripheral vision. It actively restricts your working memory and measurably narrows your ability to focus, even when you're not consciously looking at it. Let that settle for a moment. You don't have to be looking directly at the cluttered shelf for it to be taxing you. It is enough that it exists in your field of living. This is the emotional recharacterization we need to make together today. These aren't just things you haven't organized yet. They are unclosed cognitive loops, small open tabs your mind keeps running in the background, quietly consuming the calm you're trying to build. A Danish home doesn't stay calm because Danish people are more disciplined than you. It stays calm because, generation after generation, they've learned to close the loops before they pile into a mountain of stagnant, low-grade dread. So today isn't about tidying. Today is about closing loops. Let's walk through the house. Number 1. Chipped and cracked dishware. Somewhere in your cabinet is a mug with a hairline fracture running down the handle. You know exactly which one I mean. It still holds coffee, so it stays. But here is the quiet cost. Every time you drink from something broken, you are sending your own nervous system a small, repeated message. This is acceptable. I settle for less than whole. It's not superstition. It's a psychological rehearsal you perform at your own table several times a day without ever choosing to. The shift. A cracked cup has finished its purpose. Let it go with thanks, not guilt. Number 2. Expired condiments and forgotten spice jars. The kitchen is meant to be the most alive room in the house, the place where you prepare the fuel for your entire day. And yet, so many kitchens quietly double as a small museum of things slowly decaying in the dark. A sauce bottle from a recipe you made once 3 years ago. A spice jar that lost its scent before you even opened it twice. Stagnant items breed stagnant air in exactly the room where you most need to feel awake. Fresh in, old out. That's the whole rule. Number 3. Mismatched, broken kitchen tools. The peeler that slips. The can opener that takes 4 tries. You keep them because replacing them feels like a small, unnecessary expense. But every single use is a tiny friction point, a moment where your day gets slightly harder than it needed to be, dozens of times a month, compounding quietly. Number 4. Dying houseplants you're not ready to release. You know the one. Browning at the edges, drooping a little more each week. And you keep watering it out of guilt rather than hope. Here is the uncomfortable truth. A living plant brings vitality into a room. A dying one does the quiet opposite. Every glance at it is a small, unresolved question your mind keeps re-asking. Should I save this? Should I let it go? Why haven't I decided? Revive it with real care, or release it with real thanks. Either choice closes the loop. Indecision is the only option that keeps draining you. Number 5. Souvenirs and trinkets you don't actually love. A gift from someone's trip, sitting on the shelf purely because throwing it away feels disrespectful to the person who gave it. But here is the distinction Danish minimalism makes so gently and so clearly. The love was in the gesture, not the object. Keeping something out of obligation doesn't honor the giver. It just fills your shelf with quiet guilt dressed up as sentiment. Thank the memory. Release the object. Number 6. Unsorted paperwork and old manuals. This is likely the one you're closest to right now. A stack of mail, an old bill, an appliance manual for a toaster you've owned for 6 years and never once opened the booklet for. Here's the mechanism. Every time your eyes pass over that pile, your brain silently reads it as an unfinished obligation. A small, involuntary spike of stress you're not even aware you're absorbing. Princeton's clutter research, again, applies directly here. The pile doesn't need to be read to cost you attention. It only needs to exist in your visual field. Touch each paper once. File it, handle it, or release it. Almost every manual you own is already online. Number 7. Clutter blocking the front door. In so many homes, the entryway is where chaos lands first. Shoes kicked off in a pile, unopened packages, bags dropped mid-thought. It's the first thing you see stepping outside, and the last thing you see stepping back in. Danish homes treat this threshold with quiet reverence. It is the line between the outside world's demands and the interior world's rest. A cluttered entry doesn't just look messy. It sets the emotional tone for every single transition you make between out there and home, dozens of times a week. Clear the floor. Let the doorway breathe, so you can too. Number 8. Tangled drawers of unused cables and cords. A nest of black wires for devices you no longer own, kept under the logic of just in case. Here's what that drawer actually represents: an anxious attachment to an unknown future, made physical. A tangle in the drawer that mirrors a tangle in the mind. Keep only what you use. Label it. Let the rest go. Replacing a cable, should you ever need one, costs far less than the years of quiet static it's been adding to your space. Number 9. Work materials inside the bedroom. The laptop on the nightstand. The half-finished notebook by the pillow. It feels efficient in the moment, but here is what Stanford's sleep and stress researchers have consistently found. When your resting environment is visually merged with your working environment, your brain struggles to fully downshift into recovery mode, even hours later. The last image your eyes register before sleep becomes an unfinished task, not a closed day. The bedroom's only job is rest. Let it have only that job.
Number 10. The unread book Tower by the Bed. This one is trickier because it doesn't look like clutter, it looks aspirational. But notice the feeling underneath it. Not stress about tasks, but a quieter pressure about who you should be becoming. Every unread spine is a small reminder that you're behind on a version of yourself you haven't chosen yet. Keep only the book you're actively reading. Let the rest rest. Elsewhere. Number 11. Reminders of a relationship that has already ended. This is the one I promised you. Old letters, a sweater that isn't yours anymore but still smells faintly like someone who no longer stands in your kitchen. Jewelry pushed to the back of a drawer, unworn but unreleased. We keep these things out of something that feels like love, but functions like an anchor. As long as they occupy physical space, they occupy emotional space too. And there is only so much room inside a person for both an old chapter and a new one to breathe at the same time. Letting the object go doesn't erase the memory. It simply tells your own heart that the door is allowed to close now, gently, on your own terms. You are allowed a present that isn't crowded by the past. Number 12. Clothes kept for a body you no longer live in. The jeans from 3 sizes ago. The dress from a different season of your life. Kept out of hope, or guilt, or fear of letting go of who you used to be. But every time that closet opens, it delivers a quiet verdict. You are not enough as you currently are. That is not motivation. That is a small wound, reopened every morning before you've even had coffee. Dress the person standing in front of the mirror today with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. Number 13. Free samples and hotel toiletries. Small lotions, sachets, sample perfumes, individually harmless, collectively exhausting. Each one is a tiny postponed decision, and a drawer full of postponed decisions becomes, quietly, a drawer full of low-grade dread. Use them now or release them now. Don't let a drawer become a waiting room for choices you'll never make. Number 14. Decorative pillows and throws that block the bed itself. 6, 8, 10 cushions arranged beautifully for a photograph no one is taking. And every single night, a small physical negotiation stands between you and rest. In true Danish simplicity, the moment you're ready for bed, you are in the bed. No sorting, no friction, no obstacle course before rest. Keep what you actually sleep on, plus 1 or 2 you genuinely love. Release the rest. Number 15. The wire hangers quietly misshaping your favorite clothes. Small, easy to overlook, and yet Danish homes hold a deep respect for the garments they choose to keep. Thin wire hangers slowly distort shoulders, leave small bumps in fabric you paid good money for. A simple swap to sturdy, matching hangers does 2 things at once. It protects the clothes you love, and it hands your closet an immediate visual sense of calm. Here is the one rule that quietly ties all 15 loops together. The filter the Danish grandmother I want to tell you about has used, without ever naming it, for over 60 years. Her name doesn't matter as much as her mornings do. She lives in a small house near the water, in a town where the fog rolls in most mornings before the fishing boats do. Her granddaughter once asked her, half joking, why her home always felt like exhaling, while everyone else's felt like holding your breath. The grandmother didn't answer with a rule. She answered with a habit. Before she keeps anything, a gift, a purchase, a hand-me-down, she holds it in both hands and asks herself one quiet question. Does this object ask something of me, or does it give something to me? If it asks for guilt, for storage, for a decision she keeps postponing, for a version of herself she's outgrown, she thanks it and she lets it go. If it gives comfort, function, real joy, real use, it stays without apology. This is Lagom in its truest, most human form. Not minimalism as punishment, not a bare white room, just the quiet, continuous practice of only keeping what genuinely gives back. She doesn't call this a system. To her, it's simply how a home is allowed to feel. Before you go, here is the 2-minute ritual so you can carry this into your own rooms tonight. Step 1, the palm test. Pick up any object you suspect is a loop. Hold it in your open palm for 5 full seconds. Notice your body, not your justifications. If there's no ease, no small exhale, only tension, guilt, or hesitation, your body has already given you the answer. Step 2, the threshold question. Ask yourself, would I proudly place this at my own front door for a guest to see first? If the honest answer is no, it doesn't deserve to sit quietly in your closet or drawer either. That's the entire test. Palm, then threshold. If it fails both, it has already served its purpose. Let it go with thanks. Start with one drawer tonight. Just one. Not the whole house, not this weekend. One drawer, 10 minutes, before bed. A calm home was never built by adding more. It was built the way the little yellow house by the water was built. One closed loop at a time, one object released with gratitude instead of guilt, until what's left is only what genuinely gives back. If this found you at the right moment, I'd love to know. Tell me in the comments simply, I am returning to Lagom. Let that be the quiet promise you make to your own space tonight. I'll see you in the next one.